Alright, good morning. Today we're going over 2.4, which is the average rate of change. We graphed the function s as shown in the figure, and they want us to find the average, and we have the average speed on the x, and then the miles on the y. So this is your x axis, and this is your y axis. Now, what is the rate of change? The rate of change is, you guys might remember as the slope formula, which is the y2 minus the y1 over x2 minus x1. You may remember it as the change in y over the change in x. It's the same thing, just one has the delta symbol and one just has the written out thing, information. Now, how do you do this? Let's do, this is, let's say 1,50, and this one's 4,200. Now, your x1 and your y1 and your x2 and your y2 doesn't matter which order pair you choose to be each, as long as you're consistent. What do I mean by that? If this is your x1, then the order pair with the x1 has to have the y1, and then if this is the x2, then the y corresponding to the x2 has to be the y2. So when we go ahead and plug that in, it would be 200 minus 50 over 4 minus 1, which would give us 150 over 3, which equals 50 over 1, or just 50, which is just going to be 50 miles per hour. Keep in mind, we're using the y on the top, so that would be the symbol for miles right now. And then on the bottom, we're using hours, which is the x. At this time is hours. Now, what do we mean by it doesn't matter if you choose which order pair is the 1 and which order pair is the 2? Now, let's say we flip it and you choose this to be the x1 and the y1 and this to be the x2 and the y2. As long as you're consistent with the order pair, you will get the same answer. So if we flip it, 50 minus 200 over 1 minus 4, we get negative 150 over negative 3, which simplifies to 50 over 1, both being negative, the term positive, and you still get 50 miles per hour. So it doesn't matter which one you choose to be the 1 and which one you choose to be the 2, as long as you're consistent with your order pair. So here we have the average rate of change. The average speed is, this is from the previous problem, the previous slide. We have the average speed equals distance traveled over time elapsed, distance traveled being the miles, and the time being the hours. Again, with the type of graph you have, the hours was on the x, and the miles were on the y. And because you're doing y over x, it's miles over hours. Again, just following the same idea, your y over your x, the unit of the y is miles over the units of the x, which is hours. The average speed that we have just calculated can be expressed by using function notation. So instead of doing just y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, you can do, well, s of 4 minus s of 1. Keep in mind the points were 4, 200 and 1, 50. So the 4 would be based on the x value. So you plug in the y to that corresponding order pair, 200 minus 50, 4 minus 1 will give you the 50 over 3, which, the 150 over 3, which is the 50 miles per hour, which is what we just did. Now, if you don't want to remember the function notation, you don't have to. As long as you know the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, you should be fine. Now, the function notation is just another way of saying the exact same thing. So the average speed is different from different time intervals. For example, between 2 and 3 p.m., we find the average speed. They use the points 3, 140, and they use the points 2, 75. This being your x, this being its respective y. It's going to change the color. So we end up with 140 minus 75 over 1. Which gave us 65. Before we were doing from the points 4 on the x and 1 on the x, so it gave us a bigger area to cover. Here we have only one area to cover from 2 to 3 or from 3 to 2. and it gives us a different rate of change, which in this case was 65 miles per hour, and the one we did before was 50 miles per hour. Now, finding the average rate of change is important in many contexts. You can use them in just, if you decide to go further into mathematics, into calculus, and further up, you will use this actually quite a bit. But because the different rate of changes based on the different type of graph or curve that you have, it's important to be able to find it just for the problems here. Now, the average rate of change of the function y equals f of x between x of a and x equals to b is we have the average rate of change changing y over changing x, or in the function notation, f of b minus f of a over b over a. Now, the function notation is useful if you're a bit more disorganized than another person, just because it tells you what x value you're going to use every single time. So that way you don't get things mixed up. If you're organized, you don't have to use it. It's up to you. Remember, when you do, say, f of x or x equals f of x, you have the value of the x that's going to be plugged in to be able to get the y. Remember, f of x is just another way of saying y. Now, the average rate of change is the slope of the secant line between x equal a and x equals b on the graph of f. That is the line that passes through a and then f of a and b f of b. So what does that line look like? We have this point right here. If we were to do that line, it's going to be, I'm going to highlight it. It's going to be this line right here. It's a line that passes through both of those points. That will be the rate of change for that specific line. Now, in the expression for average rate of change, we have the numerator, which is the f of b minus f of a, or just y2 minus y1. And then that is the net change in the value between x of a, x is equal to a, and then x is equal to b. Again, this is just a lot of words to say the same thing. You're going to have those 2 points, and you're going to find the rate of change based on those points using the same formula we have been using, which is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You've seen this formula since Algebra 1, so most of you being freshmen, you're just going to keep reusing it. Function notation is just telling you what x you're inputting so you can get that y value, but it's something that you guys already know. The whole difference is now you're finding it based on a graph instead of just being given 2 points. So example 1, for the function f of x is equal to x minus 3 squared, whose graphs shown in the figure 2, find the net change in the average rate of change between the following points. We have x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 3. So let's look at where those points are. Right here is 1, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1, 4. And then for 3, it's going to be 3, 0. Now, I like writing the points personally because it makes it easier for me to be able to know what's going on. So I'm going to choose this ones to be my x1 and y1, and this one to be my x2 and y2. Again, it doesn't matter which one you choose, as long as you're consistent. So for A, I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. I'm going to do 0 minus 4 over 3 minus 4. Sorry, 3 minus 1. So that's going to be negative 4 over 2, which is going to give us negative 2. Now, it's going to be negative 2. If you don't have units, which in this case we don't, you can leave it as negative 2, or you can write negative 2 unit. Either way, it's going to be fine. Negative 2 per unit. Now, let's figure out the points for B. We have when x is 4. When x is 4 is going to be 4, 1. And when x is 7, it's going to be 7, 16. Now, I am going to choose, again, just this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. If you chose them the other way, that is fine. You're going to get 16 minus 1 over 7 minus 4. This is for B. So it's going to give us 15 over 3, which is going to give us 5. Now you can either, again, leave it as 5, or you can write 5 per unit. The reason I'm writing the unit is because in some problems you will be asked to write, they will give you a unit and you are going to be able to have to write it. So remember, it's always going to be the y over the x. In this case, we don't have one, so I'm just writing per unit just to kind of be consistent with this. Now, this is for graphs. If you don't have a unit and they only give all you points, then by all means, you don't have to write units. It's just when you have a graph. Now, we have linear functions that have a constant rate of change. What does this mean? You can sometimes get problems without a graph and they're asking you to still find the rate of change. You do that by using the same formula, but you have to figure out what the y is. Now, what does that look like? Let's start with A. Now, I'm going to do A up here. Now, we have the x equals to 0 and the x is equal to 1. But we don't know what the y is. So it says let f of x be 3x minus 5. Find the average rate of change between the following points. So we're just going to go ahead and plug it in. So when f is equal to 0, we're going to do 3 times 0 minus 5. That's going to be 0 minus 5. So we're going to get negative 5. So our point is 0, comma, negative 5. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the f of 1 to figure out what the point is. So it's going to be 3 times 1 minus 5. So that's going to become 3 minus 5. That is going to become negative 2. So we get the point 1, comma, negative 2. So we have the slope. We see the slope formula. I'm going to choose the top ones to be my x2 and y2, and the bottom to be my x1 and y1. Again, it doesn't really matter what you choose as long as you are consistent. So I'm going to go ahead and do negative 5 minus negative 2 over 0 minus 1. This is going to become a plus. So it's going to be negative 5 plus 2 over negative 1. So that's going to be negative 3 over negative 1, which gives us positive 3. So our rate of change for A would be 3, or 3 units, if you had a graph. Now, B I'm going to do here. So we're looking for f where x is equal to 3 and when x is equal to 7. So f of 3, it's going to be 3 times 3 minus 5. That is 9 minus 5. That is 4. So we're left with 3 comma 4 for the first point. And then we have f of 7. That's going to be 3 times 7 minus 5. 21 minus 5. That is 16. So we have 7 comma 16 for the second point. Now, I am going to choose this to be my 2's and these to be my 1's. So I would do, well, the rate of change, so the m, which is the slope, 16 minus 4 over 7 minus 3. That's going to give me negative 12 minus negative 4, which again gives me 3. Sorry, not negative 12 over negative 4. Positive 12 and positive 4. That gives me 3. Now, let's find C. They want us to find when x is A and when x is A plus H. So f of A, I just plug in 3 times A minus 5. So our x is actually going to be A and our y is 3A minus 5. And then we have f of A plus H. That's going to be 3 times a plus h minus 5. That's going to give us 3a plus 3h minus 5. So our point is going to be a plus h for the x, comma, 3a plus 3h minus 5 for the y. Now I'm going to choose this to be my x2 and my y2, and this one to be my x1 and y1. Now let's plug it in to find the rate of change. That's going to be m is equal to 3a plus 3h minus 5 minus, I'm going to keep it in a parentheses for now because I'm going to have to distribute that negative, over a plus h minus a. Now the reason I didn't put the parentheses in the bottom is because a is by itself. So even if I distribute the negative, it would just be negative a anyway. Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute that negative. On the top, so it's going to be 3a plus 3h minus 5 minus 3a plus 5 over, and then I'm going to combine anything that I can on the bottom. The a's happen to cancel out, so we're left with h. Now let's figure out what is left with each one. So 3a and negative 3a cancel out. Negative 5 and 5 cancel out. So I'm left with 3h over h. I'm going to write it down here. And I can still cancel out the h's. The top h and the bottom h cancel out. And I'm left with just a slope of 3. Now, what conclusions can you draw from your answers? Now, the first thing I could draw a conclusion of is that this is a linear equation, but you guys can tell just by looking at the type of function that we have, because the rate of change is exactly the same throughout every single problem. That is very known and very common. Actually, that happens all the time for the linear equations. What's another thing that you can notice? That you can plug in anything and they will eventually cancel out if you do the math correctly, and you will get the same rate of change, again, because they are linear equations. Well, we finished today's notes. Just so you guys are aware, I do have in Canvas practice problems. They're called ROC practice. There's the completed notes of those practice problems already, and the practice video. You also have a web assigned on Canvas.